Well, hello there, friend. Welcome back to the Construction Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Bradley Hartmann. 3 weeks ago, I received a call from a client with whom we are working on a project, and that is going well. We enjoy working with them. And they shared with me that there was this new initiative that they are working on, and they are getting it off the ground, and they were already thinking about Q1, and they wanted to have a keynote speaker there to kick it off. So I asked about this initiative. They told me it was a new mentorship program. And while they were growing, they have 20 or so new hires who've been with the company less than 1 year, and they were going to match them up with 20 people who've been in the business for a while, ranging from 10 to 15 years up to 20 to 25 or 30 years. And the idea was, how can we take these young individuals who have talent, who have curiosity, who have a bright future, and match them up with people who've been around, the quote unquote old guard? And how do we connect them both so they can learn from each other? Furthermore, they shared that they have done some personality testing and had tried to be really thoughtful about who they're going to match up with who to increase the probability of success. And it was at this point I told them I might not be the best person to give this keynote. And they were surprised. And they said, why? And I said, well, I'm just aware, while I haven't been involved in these programs per se, we have worked with many companies that have launched them. And unfortunately, none of them worked. And the reason was it was really hard to have a corporate force feeding of mentorship. Curious themselves and obviously interested in not repeating mistakes from other people, we decided to collaborate on a real short project where I reached out to other friends and other clients of mine that have done something similar and connected them in the hopes that they could learn more about what either to do or what not to do. And while I do not know if this company will move forward with this initiative, what I do know is there were consistent ideas and insights about what has worked in the place of these forced mentorships. All of which, my friend, leads us to this episode titled, Pull the Trigger on Partnerships, Not Mentorships. As always, thank you for listening. As Christmas 1978 approached, the old man couldn't quite explain to his wife why he wanted the gift of a rusted metal press. Yes, money was tight, and no, he wasn't leaving his job at the radiator factory. But something about the hulking press spoke to him. "It's got potential," he whispered. "I can see it." Soon, the man whose life had been so unremarkable in every way was crafting high-quality brass window hinges. Then came the shower curtain rods he produced, which were so well made the government called. "Hey, you think you could manufacture field knives?" "Sure," the man replied. And soon the army had remarkably high-quality blades and at a lower total cost. 2 years later, the old man found himself in the chambers of Congress. He overheard 2 police lieutenants discussing a new handgun contract within the government. The old man inquired about the bidding process, and they laughed in his face. "Aren't you the knife guy?" they asked. Yes, he was the knife guy, and no, he didn't know the first thing about guns, but he'd figure it out. And he did. He tinkered with guns in the same manner he'd once tinkered with knives, and the pistol he ultimately made held twice as many bullets as the market leader. It was also 27% cheaper, with 35% fewer parts, and a trigger that was 60% faster. The old man, Gaston Glock, named the gun after himself. His Glock 17 outperformed every competitor by every measure in Austria and across Europe. But in America, Glock's innovation alone wasn't enough. For that, he needed Carl Walter, an ambitious salesperson 2 decades younger than Glock, who knew how to sell to U.S. governments. Walter built trust, curiosity, and a sales strategy that opened doors in America, doors Glock couldn't have opened on his own. Together, they formed an unlikely but powerful cross-generational partnership. Innovation and wisdom paired with youth and street smarts. Soon, the Glock 17's growth curve had no curve. It went straight up. By 1994, Glocks were the handgun of choice among the military, police, and gun enthusiasts, including and especially rappers who were high decibel marketers for the brand. Gaston Glock was now a billionaire. So, what's the takeaway here? It's cross-generational teamwork that changes the world. And today, every company has an under-leveraged roster, often overlooked and full of potential. It's the old guard. These are your tenured veterans who've weathered market cycles and carry the tribal wisdom that defines your culture, the stories, the values, the hard-earned victories, and the gut-wrenching losses. And yet, the old guard is often sidelined, viewed more as an obstacle than an asset. We hand them one-size-fits-all training material, if we hand them any material at all, and mistake hesitation for decline. When they struggle with learning the new ERP system, taught the exact same way to the 23-year-old and the 63-year-old, we don't adjust our teaching. We blame the student. After all, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? This kind of thinking is a leadership mistake, because just like Gaston Glock, the old guard may hold one of the keys that can unlock completely new value. The answer isn't a new corporate force-feeding of mentorship. These mentorships don't produce strong results for the same reason The Bachelor doesn't produce strong marriages. Strong relationships emerge organically, over time. Like Gaston Glock and Carl Walter, what you can do is facilitate partnerships. Small teams of two who must work together to deliver new value. And maybe that's implementing a new lean strategy or converting more sales. All you got to do is make the objective clear, hang a scoreboard in plain sight, and make it simple and bright. Then let the 23-year-old demonstrate the magic of ChatGPT to generate 50 non-obvious, interesting questions to ask a top prospect. Let the 63-year-old demonstrate how to frame the most relevant questions to sell on value, not price, in that first face-to-face meeting with a busy builder. This is how wisdom spreads. This is how trust grows. This is how to build a culture where innovation doesn't age out, but compounds. You may already have your Gaston Glocks sitting in silence in the back of the room, seeing something others don't. Now, give them a Carl Walter. Great teams don't choose between old and new. They build with both. The old guard is still on duty. Pair them up with the young bucks, set a clear target, then get out of the way and let them go hunt. Now, before I let you go here, I want to make sure something is really clear. Do I value mentorships? Of course. Any remote level of success that I have had is because there were mentors who made time for me, who poured into me, who often really challenged my thinking and saw things in me and my potential that I didn't see in myself. And the list here begins with my father, Scott Hartmann, and Mike Rhodes, and Bob Horton, and Ed Dowdy, and Matthew Schmidt, Rich Horwath, Corrine Miller, Dan Sullivan, Charlie Munger, Bill Lee, Jim Sobek, and Mike Weinberg. And how many of those were structured, formalized, and corporate in any way? None. They all emerged organically. And do I think mentorship can be encouraged? And can it be modeled? Absolutely. But corporate force feeding of mentorship is really, really hard. And I know some of you listening right now may think, well, Hartmann, I disagree. We've been doing ours for 12 years and it's worked out great. If so, fantastic. That may be the exception that proves the rule. But what I have seen time and time again in the hundreds of companies that we have worked with is small teams with a very specific goal combined with people who would normally not work together, and you set them loose and figure out a way to collaborate with one another, the insights, the information sharing, and the wisdom passing up and down the generational lines can be astounding. So my recommendation is to pull the trigger on partnerships, not mentorships. That's all I've got. Thank you for listening. We're going to close out like we always do with our leadership mantra. You, my friend, are owed nothing. Deliver value first. Make it a great week.